Live from New York City, it's the Gary Null Show. And now, your host, Gary Null.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Null. We have a powerful program for you today, always beginning with the latest on health and healing. We're going to have a study from Penn State University that shows us that peanuts, organic peanuts, of course, and herbs and spices may positively impact your gut microbiome, meaning the good bacteria. Clean foods, healthy bacteria. Healthy bacteria, strong immune system. Strong immune system, less susceptible to the kind of diseases that we manifest because of not paying attention to the little things. Years ago, there was a book. It was very popular, and it was about don't sweat the small stuff and everything small stuff. I believe it's just the opposite. When we take care of the small stuff, it doesn't accumulate into something that makes it more challenging to deal with. So when we cheat and we say it's no big deal, it may not be in that moment, but where's it leading? And wherever it's leading, that's when we end up tipping, and we tip with a disease or some infirmary or something wrong. So let's just do what we can to make the little things important. Take care of them. It's like you put one dish in the sink and you don't clean it after dinner. It's still there in the morning. And then you put two in. Next thing you know, you got a sink that's filled with old, dirty dishes. Cockroaches love that. But also, when you wake up in the morning, you make your bed. And you make it like you really care about that's your bed. That's where you're going to spend about 1/3 of your life. Shouldn't it be clean? Cleaning the sheets every other day, because the bacteria, the different sebum oils, and all the dead skin that sloughs off. Yeah, if you look down at your pillow or your sheets under a microscope, you go, wow, all that's on there? Yeah, it is. So you care about the little things. You care about simply proper hygiene, making sure you wash your hands when you walk inside. Take some alcohol or hydrogen peroxide and spray all the doorknobs, the television remote control, your keyboard. If you're watching right now, and we video stream this health segment every day, then you should say, gee whiz, is there anything here that could be contaminating me that I shouldn't have in my body? The answer is yes. You take everything from outside inside. You're in a subway, you're you're holding on to the bar with a strap. That's contaminated. You don't know who's been holding it before and what they've done as far as coughing their hand and putting it up there. So let's just be practical, simple hygiene. Now, Penn State University has a study. It's about peanuts, and hopefully you would only use organic peanuts and herbs and spices that will make a very positive outcome on the good bacteria, what is called the microbiome, meaning the microorganisms that's your good bacteria, and the lining of your intestine. And that's when this wonderful natural alchemy that really works versus the old-time alchemy of turning lead into silver didn't work, or gold. This does work. Clean diet, good bacteria. Good bacteria, healthy immune system. Healthy immune system, less likely to succumb, be hospitalized, or have a serious outcome of a disease. You may get the disease, but your immune system's ultimately what determines how bad it will be or not. So if I'm having my juices in the morning, taking the right supplements, eating a healthy diet, doing modified fasting every day, then if I'm on an airplane, even with the shield that I wear across my face, a plastic shield, a visor, protects my face, and then I wear an ionizer, in fact, two of them when I'm on a plane, that creates the negative ions that trap particulate matter in the air, preventing me from breathing it in. Then why wear gloves on the plane? So anything I'm touching, I'm not going to touch my nose or eyes. By the way, you touch your mouth, nose, and eyes hundreds, if not thousands of times a day. So just imagine whatever's on your hands, under your fingernails, is now on your face, the three mucous membranes, the mouth, the nose, the eyes. That's how most things enter the body. Simple precautions, simple. And that way you're not getting yourself sick. In any case, adding a daily ounce, 1 ounce of peanuts or about a teaspoon of herbs and spices to your diet can affect the composition of the gut microbiome, an indicator of overall health. This, according to Penn State, 2 separate studies, nutritional scientists studied the effects of small changes to the average American's diet and found improvements in the gut microbiome. Research has shown that people who have a lot of different microbes have better health and a better diet than those who don't. And the Professor Hugh, professor of nutrition science at Penn State, and for the peanut study, which was published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they found that 28 grams, which is 1 ounce, of peanuts a day, and that made all the difference in the world. At the end of 6 weeks, participants who ate the peanut every day, 1 ounce, you can eat more than that, but just 1 ounce, it's a good source of protein also. You had healthier bacteria, and that helped liver metabolism and immune function. And the herbs and spices were published in a separate article, the Journal of Nutrition, and they analyzed a blend of herbs and spices like cinnamon, ginger, cumin, turmeric, rosemary, oregano, basil, and thyme. I'm hopeful you have all those in your kitchen or using them. And it showed that can lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. And doesn't take a lot, about 1/8 of a teaspoon per day. That's very small. All right. So some herbs and peanuts, good bacteria, healthy heart, healthy immune system, all terrific for you. Now, another study is on cacao, CoCoA, and the flavonols, which are in it. Those are the healing nutrients, and it boosts your skin health from within over 24 weeks. This is from the Seoul National University in South Korea. So what they're saying is that a high flavanol cacao, meaning just taking some chocolate, maybe 1 ounce or 2 each day, has a positive impact on facial wrinkles and skin elasticity in photo-aged Korean women. And that's important. 24 weeks of consuming 320 milligrams per day of cacao flavonoids were associated with a substantial improvement in skin roughness and compared to a placebo group. In fact, it was like 800% better. This was published in the Journal of Nutrition. And so photo-aged women, regular flavonoid consumption smooths out the wrinkles, makes it more pliable. Now imagine if they took in quercetin and vitamin C. That would also help reduce ultraviolet-induced damage from the sun. I'm sure, like myself, when you've gone to a concert, whatever instrument that you're seeing and listening to being played, you have a special appreciation because you know that not only is it providing you with something that's relaxing, stimulating, pleasant to hear, but you know the discipline it took to master that. So now, the University of Bath, which is in the United Kingdom, found that playing the piano boosts your brain processing power and helps you lift the blues. Yeah, a new study published by research from the University of Bath demonstrates the positive impact learning to play a musical instrument. You could play the guitar, the banjo, the piano, the flute, whatever you want to play, but it helps your brain's ability to process sights and sounds and shows how it can also help it lift a blue mood. These were published in scientific reports, the peer-reviewed journal. And that's just good. It took 11 weeks that they learned these lessons. It doesn't make you a master musician, but it's enough to significantly improve recognizing audiovisual changes in the environment and being less depressed, less stressed, and less anxious. And this was a randomized controlled study of people who were not musicians, but who enjoyed listening to music. and they're compared to a control group. So why not take up learning how to play an instrument? It's not that difficult. Just take some focus, discipline, and intent. But the results could be substantial. Another study from the University of Chicago shows loneliness triggers cellular changes that can cause illness. Let me repeat this again. Loneliness, which is an epidemic right now in our society, is more than a feeling for older adults receiving no real social impact. Again, what is one of the things we all dread, but we all experience, sometimes multiple times in life, and sometimes when we're least prepared to deal with it, we're struck with it. Loneliness. Loneliness is an epidemic. I saw this long ago when I taught at the New School for Social Research, adult continuing education classes. My classes were packed. And I'm in my 20s, I'm a young guy, and I'm seeing a lot of people in middle age or older. Didn't see a lot of young people. And one day after class, one of the people who were there came over and said, I'm moving, I'm going to miss this class. I just want to let you know that it was an important class. I said, what'd you learn from the class? She said, not a lot. I said, why not? There was an awful lot of information. She said, I didn't come for the information. I'll be honest with you. I live in Huntington, Long Island. I'm married to a physician who is married to his work. As a result, everything that we shared at one time in life that was important and passion and joy and creativity, we haven't shared that in probably the last 15 years. The more successful he becomes, the less time we spend, and he has all these social obligations and professional obligations, and there's just no real relationship there. And I have 2 children who are grown, and so what do I do each day? She said, I'm lonely. And she said, so I come in here and I enjoy being here. You're positive energy. You make everyone in the class feel good. You use a lot of humor. And she said, but I'm not the only one, because after this, a group of us from the class, by the way, there are only women in the class. I mean, every class, no men. And she said, we go out and we have a lunch and we talk, and we're all lonely. Now, we don't show it, we don't talk about it, but it's something we feel, and you deal with it until you figure out how to change it. And that was it. And for a young guy, still learning a lot about life and needing input from other people so they can show what it's like to be in their shoes, because you can't always tell by looking at someone or speaking with someone in a superficial manner that we do today, and certainly not over the networks and the social platforms, what it means to be the other. So right now, when you consider the long, nearly 3 years of social isolation and condemnation for those who are not vaccinated, what it means to be alone, possibly for the first time in your life, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a pet, the loss of a friendship, the loss of being able to communicate with your family in a positive way if they think you're that loon, that crazy person who's putting everyone else at risk because their self-righteous needs for health instead of doing what everyone else did, get vaccinated, socialize, go out, and be a part of society. And then we just have this whole idea in our society. It's not exclusive to our society, but it's unique because historically, when you got older, you had a large family, so you never lost the connection of being wanted, appreciated, loved, and respected. And that's still true. Why do you think, for example, that for the first time in Italian government history, a woman was voted prime minister? Shouldn't have the background, shouldn't have the political experience, but she called upon the average person in Italy to ask, what is missing with all these mandates and all the wokeness and all the identity politics and all the isolation? all the condemnation of just being a human being. And she talked about just three things: the importance of family, because no matter what your career, no matter how successful, no matter how rich, no matter how famous, ask yourself what happens if you're alone. Then ask, what's it mean if you're not rich or famous, but you have a family? You do things together, you laugh together, you cry together, but your family is important to you because you know that no matter what happens, they're with you. They have your back because they have your heart. And then she talked about the importance of just looking at the Italian heritage, what it means to be an Italian, whether it's Northern Italian, the Neapolitan Italian, or the Sicilian Italian. What's it mean? And that touched people. So she talked about the things that are basic: respecting yourself, respecting your family, respecting your culture, your history, and then looking at the world and asking, why don't we have a better quality of life? Simple things, right? When was the last time a politician talked about those in America? No. And whatever they promised, they never delivered. So for that reason, she was voted in as prime minister. Whether she succeeds or fails, it'll be up to her. And of course, immediately all the American media attacked her, saying, oh, she's just another right-wing, fascist. Well, she hasn't proven it yet. She may be. But shouldn't we allow a person to give them a chance to see, can they deliver what they promise? In the United States, we have an epidemic of loneliness because we promised senior citizens that they would have a better quality of life. The streets would be safer, their environment cleaned up, de-ghettoized, the taxes lowered, the burden of prices would be kept in check, none of which has been found to be true. We have tens of millions of lonely people in the United States. I'm doing a new film. I'm doing Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? It is a sequel to Poverty Inc., which was enormously successful. It was a sad film. It was a film you didn't feel good watching, but you needed to watch it to see how in the world did we get to this place where the rich and powerful, the dilettantes of the businesses and political establishment virtually bankrupted America. They were bailed out because they had selected Barack Obama, then elected knowing what he would do. He, like George Bush, bailed them all out. They were all made whole. We were not a single homeowner. As a result, people went through deep depressions, suicides increased, bankruptcies. And now the legacy of that is we've done it again. With inflation, a lot of people can't eat the diet they're used to because they can't afford it. They can't get all their medical procedures. They can't afford it. They can't frequently decide, should I have my rent paid or get enough food to eat? So they start eating cheaper foods. And which are the cheapest foods you can eat in America? Junk foods. You can get a whole meal for $3, but it's nothing in there that's going to help you with your health. It's going to cause disease. So if it's $3 to get a fast food meal, or it's $5 to get healthy ingredients that you can make a good meal, a lot of people who are lonely, financially strapped, are just hanging on. And America has abandoned them. Our government's abandoned them, corporations abandoned them. All these so-called, virtue signaling celebrities abandon them. So what happens is you get lonely. Now, according to the University of Chicago, that loneliness triggers cellular changes that can cause illness. So understand, loneliness is more than a feeling. For older adults, even younger adults, social isolation is a major health risk that can increase the risk of premature death by 14%. Let me repeat that. Young or old, if you're lonely, and you feel socially isolated, think of this as a death sentence for a lot of people, because you're going to have a greater chance of dying prematurely by 14%. Now, researchers have long known the dangers of loneliness, but the cellular mechanisms by which loneliness causes adverse health outcomes have not been well understood. Now, a team of researchers, including Chicago psychologist, leading loneliness expert John Capoceppo, have released a study shedding new light on how loneliness triggers physiological responses that can ultimately make us sick and cause us to die. So important was this paper. It's in the current issue of the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and it shows that loneliness leads to a fight or flight stress signaling, which can ultimately affect the production of white blood cells. So just like now, we can tell you that stress can cause your heart to die. It can cause a heart attack. And yet we've all known that stressed people have heart conditions, but we didn't know how. Now we do. So when you're lonely, you can die. When you're stressed, you can die. When you walk around angry, you can die. Now we understand the physiological reactions to this. And by the way, this is also true in monkeys. When I go away for a period of time, filming or lecturing or back to New York, and I come back, if the person who's attending to the primates haven't been with them every single day, then they start to excess groom, pull hair out, much like a bird will overpluck themselves when they're lonely or stressed. And that's why that human contact with them is so important. Also, we can look and see how leukocytes, cells of the immune system that are involved in protecting your body against bacteria and viruses, are decreased when you're lonely. So there's a consequence to all this. Unfortunately, right now, we are not dealing with it. We're just avoiding it. Just imagine that you've lived in a neighborhood, a wonderful neighborhood, great neighbors, and you've enjoyed it. It's been meaningful to you. But now you have defunding of the police. And now you don't have the same safety. And so you fear going to the store or the bank or going out, or it gets dark, you get back inside. Why? Because politics and the need for virtue signaling exceeded what a person's actual needs are. And then crime increases. Not because average people suddenly realize, hey, I'm not going to get arrested. If I am, I'm not going to go to jail. Those are not the people committing the crimes. The people committing the crimes are the people who now realize they can create more crimes because there's no consequence. And we see it everywhere where there has been a breakdown in social order and respect for each other and cooperation and working together to have a safer community. You don't think that doesn't impact a person? Sure does. 880 people every 24 hours are coming down here to Florida. Why? Quality of life. Quality of life. I spoke with some people on Saturday at the farmer's market. They recognized me. In fact, one of them, I recognized the face. I didn't know who they were. And they said that back in the 1980s, they used to come to my lectures. And they took the class. 2,200 people took a 4-year class to get an accredited degree from Medicine State College, the first in the United States in holistic health sciences. So they could go into doctors' offices and work with the doctor in helping to guide the person in their diet, exercise, stress management, everything that the doctor generally is not trained in or wouldn't have the time for. And this is one of those people who was in that class. Anyhow, I said, what brings you to Florida? They said, we've moved here. We're renting an apartment and we're looking for something we can afford. And they said, boy, the price has gone up down here from a year ago. And I said, how much? Because I'm not out looking for property. I have a homestead here, a large one. And they said, it's gone up about 40%. And I said, why are you coming down? It's because there's so much crime. and it's random, it's everywhere, and nothing is changing. And the quality of life has changed. It was wonderful until it became terrible, and now it's just really bad. And the politicians are responsible for this, and nothing's going to change. So we waited and waited. Finally, we said, had enough. And now they're down here where you don't have that kind of crime. You have people of all backgrounds, all ethnicities, all political views who are civil. Now, I don't know how many people are going to Texas or other states, but a lot of people are leaving New York, Los Angeles, and California, certainly San Francisco, Chicago, Philadelphia, and those all used to be great cities. Not today. So just remember, you are a part of your environment. So if your environment's stressed, you're stressed. If you fear going out at night, then that fear is causing inflammation in the body because it's increasing free radicals. And this was interesting, a friend of mine's 85, phenomenal shape. I mean, he has the body of a 40-year-old, literally. I'm not exaggerating this, because he really keeps himself in good shape, has good diet, and you would never know he's 85 years of age. And he's a much older friend, but he's a tried and true New Yorker. He's one of the leaders of the liberal establishment in New York, and with an outstanding background of helping important human rights causes. And when I went back to New York recently to premiere a film, we took a walk down Broadway, and it was after we'd had dinner. And I said, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" He's, "Yeah, I see it every day." I said, "The streets are empty. Broadway from 89th down to Lincoln Center, empty. 9 o'clock on a Friday night." And I've lived on the Upper West Side my entire adult life. And I used to relax at night after counseling people by going for a walk at midnight, at 1 o'clock in the morning, from my office at 83rd and Broadway down to Lincoln Center, just to walk around the fountain and just to feel the energy and walk back. And it was always crowded, always, not now. So I began to talk with people, and he said the same thing. Older people do not go out at night unless they know where they're going and have a ride, etc. You just don't go out for casual walks anymore because there's just too much crime. That affects the psyche of people. So in any case, just understand, look for better places to live. Buy yourself, if you can afford it, buy yourself a recreational vehicle. Not a big one. You can get them much less expensive, slightly used, and so you can travel all over this great country. It is a great country. There's a lot of people who hate America, and that's unfortunate because I see all the greatness in our country. That's more, as much as anyone, I point out what's wrong with it, but only because I want to see that corrected. But think of all the things that don't have to be corrected because they're really terrific, like our national parks and people everywhere. I don't care where I go in this country, I find wonderful human beings that I can relate with. And I don't talk about politics. Talk about what it is to be a human being. What's your life like? What are you doing with this time in your life? What are your hobbies? Find out what a person's really like. Just not hit the trigger points, because then you're going to get reactions. So in any case, I think it's time that people take a look at where are better places, more humanistic places, where people respect each other, irrespective of your culture, background, ethnicity. They treat you as you should be treated, with respect, where there's a wonderful environment to live. It's time. All right? If the places that you're leaving from come back to what they once were, or even better, fine, move back. If you got an RV, then you can use that while you tour America and see which places you'd like to be for as long as you want. And there's lots of intentional communities out there, over 1,500. And I believe that will triple in the next couple of years based upon what I see coming. Finally today, grapes. Grapes can help protect against ultraviolet damage, so says Western New England University. Antioxidants are one of the nutrients in the ORAC, that meaning the total number of antioxidants in food, that have a protective effect. And one of the best of those are grapes. So grapes protect us against ultraviolet exposure in the skin of human volunteers. And so have some grapes each day, and it will protect your heart, it will protect your immune system, and it also protects your skin. So something simple, see, not always complicated. Oh, by the way, stay away from fluoridated water. It will calcify, harden your arteries. In Spain, the University of Zaragoza did a study showing that fluoridated water, the amount 1 part per million that we consume in the United States, it's really bad for you. Or you can go to GaryNull.com, download articles, look under the fluoride fiasco. I keep updating that article. I wrote it over 45 years ago, and every 3 or 4 months I update it. All new stuff, all showing fluoride is bad. Don't use fluoride toothpaste, fluoride mouthwash, and don't have fluoride treatments in your mouth for you or your children, because it really is bad for you. That's the latest on health and healing. I'm Gary Null. We're going to take a break and then continue with our program. And for those of you who just want to watch or listen to the health and nutrition part, you can get this every single day. Go to GaryNull.com, scroll down to newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. It's on your computer. John LaBelle, who is volunteering to do this, he called, wanted to do it. We did one 40 years ago, won laptop award for best newsletter. That was way back when. I still have those old newsletters. We did over 100 of them. Well, we're over 100 now, and we're just getting started. And recipes and important lectures, essays, and everything on health and healing is on there every day in detail. All right. And also a lot of video clips are up on Rumble. Go to Rumble, got a lot of videos up there, and also GaryNull.com and PRN.Live. Back in a moment. Please stay with us.
Are you tired of closed-minded programming? Well, look no further than PRN.Live, the home for progressive voices.